The Copa del Rey draw has been made official. Barcelona has their new rival, a Titan killer. We'll talk about that in just a bit, but I wanted to talk about yesterday's game. I was really heated recording that video. You can find it. It's the last video before this one. I was really heated, man, and I think I didn't include half of the video that was the original recording. Half of it I didn't include it in that video. It was just me ranting about Real Madrid, about La Liga, about how they're constantly benefited while Barcelona has to fight for their points every single week, and Real Madrid just gets handed out penalties for silly dives, a lot of the times non-existent fouls, and just being helped every step of the way. So that was part of, if not all of the video that I deleted yesterday. They had all that stuff, but you could go watch the edited version in my page before this video. What I wanted to talk about today was the Hansi Flick press conference, which I said at the end of the video. I wonder what Hansi Flick has to say about all this. And, although I at first analyzed it, and I still analyze it the same way, you have to put the goals away. You have to put the goals away, and you can't concede a goal 40 seconds after you score one. You tie the game 1-1, the momentum's with you, and what? You just drop all sort of concentration, all sort of focus, and you get scored on right away. It's kind of you did it to yourself. Let's be real. But there are things about yesterday's game that are really, really particularly suspicious, I would say. And Hansi Flick talked about it. He talked about it in the press conference. They asked him about the referees, and he said, I don't talk about referees. I have to analyze my own team. But it is true that yesterday's referee, Gil Manzano, is the most difficult referee to deal with in all of La Liga. He says that whenever it's with him, he's not able to talk. He has to watch his mouth. Because if you recall, the last time that Hansi Flick said something on the field to his captain, Frankie de Jong, he was given a red card for it. Gil Manzano took it as a argument towards him, and Hansi Flick received the red card. That was right before El Clásico, the one we lost. Sure enough, yesterday's game was just a little bit of the same. Frankie de Jong came out at the end of the game, and they asked him about it, and he's like, Gil Manzano is a very difficult referee to deal with, because when he gave me the yellow card, he looked at me and said, I'm waiting for you to answer me back so I can give you a red card. So keep quiet. And Frankie de Jong took it as he just wants you to give him a reason to give you a red card. And it's always like that. It's always like that with Gil Manzano. Then as the press conference goes on, Hansi Flick is asked about the VAR. A ridiculous offside call. Millimeters. And a goal that I think should have counted. The ball is played by the other player. I don't know. It was just a really weird call. And then, you have media from all over the world analyzing that play and saying, are we really calling offsides with something like this? Edge of the heel? It's kind of BS. It's not kind of BS. It's really BS. And fine. It got called. But Hansi Flick, they asked him, is it funny? Is it ironic that this was the same VAR you guys had to deal with last season in Real Sociedad Stadium, where we also dropped points because of a Lewandowski offside, one where they extend his foot and make him look like he's wearing a super long boot, almost like a clown boot. And they pretty much said, yep, this is the offside call. Editing at its finest. And he's like, oh, was it the same VAR? And they confirmed, yes. And he's like, well, there you go. I think he said in Spanish, muy bien. It just goes to show, dude, that it's Barcelona against the world. It's Barcelona against this corrupt league. It's Barcelona against the entire institution from top to bottom, full of Real Madrid fans, full of Real Madrid sympathizers, full of Barcelona and Catalunya haters. And it's just, if you really get into the details about it, it just starts all making sense. It really does make sense. in a time where Real Madrid is suffering. They get a really easy penalty call, opens up the game completely. And at the same time, in the Barcelona game, they're analyzing detail by detail in the most fractional, marginal way every single play that has to do with giving or taking away a goal for Barcelona. And, just take that same amount of time, those 2-3 minutes, to look at Mbappe, how he dives well before he's even hit in the box. It's a double standard. Absolutely. There's not much more you could say. If you're a Spanish speaker, you probably watch El Chiringuito, and Chiringuito has a journalist on that show, Edu Aguirre, diehard Real Madrid fan. Even he came out on that show and said, this is ridiculous. Like, we can't be nullifying goals for something this marginal. It's like, you can't call offsides for that. And it was called. Now, when I hear Real Madrid fans and Real Madrid influencers and Real Madrid journalists and all that stuff say, oh, like, that shouldn't have been called offsides. Yeah, it's like, I don't need to hear it. Because meanwhile, you're here agreeing that, oh, we got robbed or we got sabotaged or whatever it was. At the same time, I don't see you complaining every time Real Madrid gets a penalty. It's just like, it's too little too late. Like, what are you telling me? I don't care. You guys still benefit from the system. Just for you to tell me, oh, you guys got sabotaged. It doesn't make it any better. It makes it worse, actually. Honestly, I'd rather you say, oh, yeah, it was offside, so it could give me kind of a peace of mind saying, you know what? Maybe I am overreacting. But the fact that we have Real Madrid fans saying, dude, you guys are getting robbed, it makes it feel worse. It honestly makes it feel worse. Because even though I know that you agree that we're being robbed, we're still being robbed. And you're still benefiting from the system. It's BS. Guys, let's move on. In other news, yesterday's game was not so good in terms of injuries. Ferran Torres is officially injured. I don't know how long. It seems like short-term to mid-term kind of injury where we will be without our highest scoring player in the entire season. We will be without our starting striker. We do have Lewandowski, obviously. But now that we are in the January transfer market, it's pretty much a time to be thinking about, should we bring in a guy on loan? Should we bring in a guy for free or whatever it is? Obviously, for free, off of a free agency, we'd have to wait until summer. We don't have any free agencies in January. So it would have to be like a really good loan deal the way we did with Joao Cancelo. I don't see it happening. And we also have Marcus Rashford, who not only can play on the wing, can also play striker. So that might be the substitution until Ferran Torres is back. Lewandowski splitting time with Rashford in the striker position. We can also play with Rafinha in the striker position, but Rafinha is also injured. So that adds, Ferran Torres is added to the list of 3 other players that we have injured. Gavi is out for mid to long term. He had to have another surgery on his MCL or ACL tear and, just basically start the process all over. Andreas Christensen also MCL tear, I believe, or something with his knee, and he's out long term. I don't think we get him back till the very end of the season, if anything. And then Rafinha also is injured. He missed yesterday's game. That's another thing that we didn't talk about yesterday. We were missing our best player, our most clinical player, our most important player in Rafinha yesterday. And we lost points. And it just goes to show, Rafinha comes back, we go on a winning streak. He's out for a game, and we lose. So speaking of the transfer market, Marc-Andre ter Stegen has finally agreed on a deal, a loan deal for the next 6 months with Girona. Girona, the team that is owned by the same ownership as Manchester City, needed a goalkeeper. They have Gazzaniga, who has not been doing well this season. So why not benefit from the likes of a world-class elite goalkeeper that is Marc-Andre ter Stegen? I personally can't tell you how I feel about Marc-Andre ter Stegen in terms of being a Barcelona keeper. Is he a really good keeper? Yes. Is he elite world-class? Absolutely. But I don't know how I feel about his whole trajectory, his whole career in Barcelona. I couldn't tell you it's extremely positive. I can't tell you it's extremely negative either. I just know I don't know how I feel about it. But good for Marc-Andre Ter Stegen, who wants to play in the World Cup this summer, who wants to have minutes leading up to it because he's been injured for so long, about a year and a half. So finally he gets a chance to play and build up some minutes. This also gives Barcelona a chance to showcase who Marc-Andre Ter Stegen is, because they're going to look to sell him this summer before his 1 year left on his contract expires. Get some money off of it. And if he has a really, really good time in Girona, if he has a really, really good World Cup with Germany, who says we can't cash in big for Marc-Andre Ter Stegen? The other transfer rumor news right now is Marc Casado, the substitute center mid. One center mid that last year, in my opinion, was one of our best center mids, one of our best players from La Masia last season. And this season it hasn't had the same impact. He's been struggling. He's not had a lot of minutes. And when he does, it's not extremely convincing. Not to us and not to Hansi Flick. So Marc Casado is also looking at maybe a exit in this transfer window. The first and most important team that wants him, Atlético de Madrid, a Spanish La Liga rival that I don't know how I'd feel about getting rid of a player to that team. The other team that I've heard has been wanting him is Manchester United. That would honestly be very cool. I would like to see Marc Casado in Manchester United. But you know where I like to see Marc Casado also? In Barcelona. In the club of his heart, in the club of his life. And we have to really pay attention to what Hansi Flick said about Dro. Another player that has left already officially to PSG in this transfer window. Transferred, no loan, a complete transfer. His €6 million buyout clause has been triggered, has been activated by PSG, and PSG will take the 17 or 18-year-old center attacking mid / winger to France, to Paris. This player was, in Hansi Flick's view, a player for the future of Barcelona. A player for the future of his coaching career. He takes it as one of the major, if not the most disappointing moment in his career. And it just goes to show how Hansi Flick is really, really starting to become enamored with this club, with FC Barcelona. In his message in the press conference about the Dro exit, he says something that Johan Cruyff once said as well. A legendary player and coach and philosopher in the FC Barcelona history. He said, if you're not 100% convinced of being in Barcelona, then you're not for Barcelona. And that's what Hansi Flick said. He said basically a message to all Masia players, all academy players, and all players on the first squad too. If this is really your club, if this is really the place you want to be, you'll work hard, you'll fight, and you'll wait, and you'll be patient to receive your minutes in this club. Let's remember that Xavi, Iniesta, those two players, they didn't really have a part in the first team until later on in their career. 18 years old is very young. Not everybody debuts in 18 years old. And we're seeing players like Lamine Yamal, who, he debuted at age 15 or 16 with Xavi. But it's not every player is like that. Sometimes you got to wait until it's your time. Sometimes you have to be patient. And that's what Hansi Flick said, if you don't want to be here, we don't need you. We don't want you. And that was his message. So going back to the Marc Casado thing, Marc Casado, I hope, makes a very, very well thought out decision on whether he wants to leave Barcelona or if he wants to stay and help us succeed. And now back to the Copa del Rey. Let's look at the final bracket after the draw. After this draw, there will be no more draws, I believe. I think after this, it becomes an official bracket. Quarterfinals, semifinal, 2 legs, and a final. All right, here we have it. The Titan Killer, Albacete. The team from the second division, the only team in the second division in this stage of the Copa del Rey, who comes off of eliminating Real Madrid. The Real Madrid that is now only 1 point away from Barcelona without having to play these quarterfinals, without having to advance in this tournament. Who are constantly benefited from the referees while Barcelona has to fight, will now have to prove that they are once again a better team than Real Madrid. Albacete is a team that I did not want in this stage, but at the same time, I'm excited to see it because I don't think Barcelona will be eliminated by a second division team. I think that is pretty much reserved for other teams in this league. On the other side, Alaves versus Real Sociedad. And that scares me because Real Sociedad will probably most likely take that game, and then we'll have a 2-leg playoff against them for semifinal. We first have to win, and Real Sociedad also first has to win. On the other side, Bilbao goes against Valencia. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'd say Bilbao just because of name, but at the same time, I think both of those teams are really struggling. One might be struggling less than the other, and that's Bilbao. So I'd say Bilbao. And on the other side, Atlético de Madrid versus Real Betis. I don't have a clear favorite here. It should be Atleti, but, we know how much of a choke artist that team is. So we'll see. But as for now, if I had to really guess how it's going to go, Barcelona versus Real Sociedad, back and forth, I don't have a prediction for that semifinal. But I want to say Barcelona. If they make it to the final, they'll go against, I'd say, either Real Betis or Athletic Bilbao. But be careful that we don't have a Real Sociedad Betis final or Real Sociedad Atlético de Madrid final. That'd be very interesting to see. Absolutely. And to finish off the show, let's talk a little bit about Real Madrid, a little bit about Real Madrid news. As we know, in the past few weeks, there has been drama, and it has been magnifying every single day, leading up to the Super Cup final that Real Madrid loses. Xabi Alonso is sacked. Álvaro Arbeloa is brought to the fold. They are eliminated from the Copa del Rey, and in their first game back in the Bernabeu, the entire stadium began to boo not only the team, but specific players and their president, Florentino Perez. That club is in shambles right now. And despite all of that, they're just 1 point behind Barcelona. They are top 8 in the Champions League. And maybe the rash decision to sack Xabi Alonso, who technically had been doing it all right, despite the fact that they lost the Super Cup, aside from all of that, all right. And now that team is in a complete upheaval. The booing, according to Kylian Mbappe, makes sense. But if they're going to boo, it shouldn't be to Vinny only. It shouldn't be to Bellingham only. It should be to the entire team. For him, the entire team is united. The entire team is backing all the players, including Vinny, including Jude, including Valverde, the three who received the biggest amount of criticism. And he says that they will be together, united, to bring Real Madrid back to their best form. You know who else should be booed? The referees in this league. Gil Manzano. He should be booed. In other news, I don't know how long Álvaro Arbeloa is going to last. I think it's very obvious that the intent of Florentino Perez is to bring in a brand new world-class manager to Real Madrid. His number one goal, Jurgen Klopp. But Jurgen Klopp has come out and said, this place is a dramatic place. It's a place where things aren't being done right, and I think they have to fix all of that before I'm even considered as an option to succeed in that position. Now, that's kind of old news. The new news is that Jose Mourinho has spoken too. Jose Mourinho was quoted as saying, I don't watch soap operas. You miss 1 or 2 episodes, and you're completely lost. Real Madrid locker room right now is a soap opera, and I don't watch soap operas. Well said. So, Jurgen Klopp said no because of the drama. Jose Mourinho said no because of the drama. Who else will say no because of the drama? Something to watch and enjoy, because it's not every day that Real Madrid, for some the best club in football, is in absolute shambles. Comment, subscribe, like the video, and tell me if you enjoy the news segments, trying out something new. Catch you on the next one. Peace.